Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. I know your girl has been MIA for a bit. I had to do some self care of my own. I'm sorry that I wasn't here to share self care, but we are back. And I'm glad to have you all here with me. If you are new to the Rose Colored Movement platform for Self Care Saturday, just giving you a little clue into what it's all about. So, the Rose Colored Movement is about seeing life in a promising light. And so I created this in order for us to make sure that we always remember that our perspective in any situation is what is the ultimate importance when trying to navigate this thing called life. So even if you make all the plans in the world, sometimes things come up and it shakes you. But always remember that you are in control of what your next steps are going to be. And that will start with having a perspective that you can get through anything. And I know rose colored, by definition, is often seen as naive. But for me, I feel like if you overshoot in the area of positivity and optimism, if you happen to fall short, you're still going to be in that realm. So I don't care. I feel rose colored. I'm always going to strive to be rose colored and see people, situations, and circumstances from a rose colored view. So anyway, let me tell you a couple of things that are going to change about Self Care Saturday. I am not going to be coming every Saturday. I had to do some adjustments with my life. I had to take some evaluation and understand that doing it every Saturday was becoming a bit much for your girls. So now we're going to have two a month, and I will make sure that I advertise that every time so you all know what's coming down the road. So today, I have Jakkia Hollingsworth, and she is a transformational coach. So I thought, what better time to bring this guest on than for the month of May, which is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And like I said, I'm in the process of checking my mental health, making sure that I'm whole and working on that. So I thought it would be a great conversation to have to start off, not only to start off the month, but to bring us back and get the flow for Self Care Saturday starting again. So again, I'm very thankful that all of you have decided to join us this morning. You could be doing anything else, but you decided to come in here and be with us. So without further ado, let me bring Jakkia on. Hey, good morning.
Hi, how are you, Queen?
I am doing well. I'm so glad for you to be on here and talking to you this morning. I know you are on, doing a little self care of your own. So I really appreciate you taking some time to have a chat with me this morning.
It is my pleasure. I am so grateful that you asked me. It was unexpected and awesome. I am excited to have done this, even though I'm on a little getaway. I love talking about this. This is such a wonderful topic to always touch on with anyone, and so I'm happy to be able to do that. Thank you for asking me.
Yes. So if you guys were able to check out the advertisement, like I said, Jakkia is a transformational coach, and she is coming on here to talk to us about change. A lot of times in our personal lives, we know that things are not going exactly the way that we want them to go, but we often don't know like where to start because it feels like we got this buffet of problems. And it's like if you look at a buffet, it's hard, who can eat a buffet all at one sitting? You can't do it. So I was like, let's start there. But before we get to that topic, I would like for you to let us know your background and how you got into becoming a transformational coach, if you will.
Yes, no problem. So honestly, I ended up in transformational coaching due to my own personal experiences. I think this is something that naturally comes to me. But my personal history was I am a divorcee, I am a single parent. There was a time when I hit a really, really, really dark patch of my life. And at that point in time, a marriage was ending and a lot of transition was just happening in my life. And at that point, anyone that's been through a major life transition like that will tell you, or any major life transition, that you get tested on so many levels.
Mhm.
Your mind is in a very delicate space. Your spirit is always needing a pick me up. I felt like that was kind of my everyday. Physically, I was struggling just because I was just exhausted. So the entire um, mind, body, and soul was on struggle mode. And
Right.
so I really needed to make some changes. So for myself, I started just taking control of my life. In the first place I started was my health. It was something that I really felt I could control. And I can be honest, looking back, it's the easiest thing to fix.
Right.
But it was something that I knew if I fixed that, I would be motivated to do other things. So I had gotten up to about 200 pounds. Depression was hitting me pretty hard. I was working a job where I was working 40 plus hours a week. So I was overworked. I was stressed. I had two children. My youngest at the time was a toddler. The other one was a teenager. So two big phases of life. Um,
Mm.
and I was completely overrun. So I needed to do something for myself to feel better. I needed to do something to help me with my determination. I needed to remind myself of what I could do to feel, more empowered. Um, so I decided to go on this big, just personal wellness journey. I don't know that my goal was just to lose weight. I just wanted to be stronger because I felt really broken and I felt really weak. So getting in the gym and doing things like that and improving your body and watching it transform is one way you can quickly see. You can see the product of getting stronger. So I needed to see myself get stronger so that in my
Mhm.
mind I feel stronger. Um, Little did I know that when I did that, it was going to transform my mind so much, and the body change really was very secondary or really not the priority. What ended up happening was that mentally I just became really determined, strong. I am a naturally very consistent person, but I used to be consistent because I was a people pleaser. I didn't want to let anybody
Mm.
down. Now I'm consistent because I know in order to get the things that I want out of life, and at least for the life that I want to have for myself, it requires consistency. So that
Mhm.
shifted. It became less about others and it became more about me. Um, I jumped into dance fitness. I have a dance background. I've been dancing since the age of 3. I stopped doing it for many years when life kicked in and I had to be a mom. And I couldn't, I didn't go to dance classes like I could. I don't want to say couldn't. I could have, but I didn't because I prioritized parenthood
Mhm.
at the time. And, when you're a dancer, when your life evolves into adulthood, you really have to find a way to continue to do that or you get kind of stuck. And I couldn't perform anymore at that point. That just wasn't where my life was headed. So I sat out for a long time, got into dance fitness, enjoyed it, um, became a dance fitness instructor. And through that, I think I evolved myself. And I'm just a naturally very passionate person. Dance brings me to life. And I think that I like to bring people together in that space. And it ended up just becoming a really great thing. I'm blessed that people really enjoy the time that they spend in my classes, and I've been doing that ever since. But that's kind of how I got into this. In my dance classes, I used to, women gravitate to that space, and I think that naturally people gravitate where they feel relatability. And I've always been kind of transparent on a personal level about kind of the changes that I go through in my life. I'm not really good at just being of hiding that kind of stuff. So when I was going through transition, I was sharing it because I was just really changing from one major life to another, and people were asking me, inboxing me a lot, asking me like, what's happening? I see you evolving. What's going on? And people just kept asking, so I started to share more. Um, but that brought me to coaching. People started asking me, and I used to get so much personal. People would contact me personally and say, I know what you're going through, or I'm going through what you told me you went through, and it's really, really hard. How did you do this? Or how did you change your body? Or what did you do to change your mindset? Because I see something different. Um, and that's kind of how it started. I just love to motivate people. I love to put people in spaces where where we vibe off each other and um, feel a lot of hope. Walk out the door, just nothing else, leaving stress behind, um, getting in touch with who you are, if not for just 1 hour. When I was teaching my classes, it was so rewarding that I did used to ask myself, I used to see the ladies come in and say, this is the highlight of my week. I just had to get here. This is the 1 hour week. And when they would leave, I thought about the fact that they would go back home to the 23 other hours of the day
Right.
and the other 6 days of the week. And I
Mhm.
was thinking, what else are people doing for themselves um, outside of this 1 hour class, when you go back to regular life, how do you maintain? And then I decided to just go into coaching for people who struggle to maintain, because I think that it has to happen not just in my class, it needs to happen
Totally.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So I want people to feel free as much internally as they can be externally in my class. And so I jumped into coaching for anyone who needs extra assistance in feeling motivated or have goals. And I know the cycle of self sabotage. I know the cycle of low self esteem. When you have low confidence and you want to make change, it's, if you can do it by yourself, you'd have done it already. But
Exactly.
when you're in the picture, when you're in the picture of your life, you're too close to the picture. You're too close because you're in it.
Hmm.
So sometimes people need a more objective outside party to listen to them talk about what their struggles are, because maybe they can't see the solution right there in front of them. Or maybe you can ask them questions. And honestly, what coaching does is you ask a lot of questions and you help people come up with their own solutions, things that they know they can do. And then we help them break it down in a manageable way. Like you said, you can't make change like a buffet, it has to be one bite at a time. So if you've ever just had a friend when you're just completely overwhelmed with something and they sit down and say, okay, well, let's just tackle this thing one thing at a time. That's really what coaching does for people. Um, Not everyone has the luxury of having an objective party to sit with them and ask them. And sometimes family and friends are hard. They love you. They're really close to the picture. And so it's hard to ask them to do it. It puts a lot of pressure on them to have to do that for you sometimes. And on top of that, I think that it's just easier sometimes when we take that journey on our own without the having the people close to you kind of in it with you. Sometimes
Right. And
some
worrying
parts of
about
your journey,
judgment.
yes, some
Yeah.
parts of your journey you have to take by yourself. I think the most
Hmm.
important parts have to be done alone. Um, and so that's what has allowed me to kind of walk, kind of transition into this space. Of course, I went and got certified because I just think that you need to make sure you train yourself so that when you talk to people and when you have interactions, you just want to make sure that you're doing that in the most sensitive, caring way, and utilizing methods that work and that research have shown have been effective. So that's me, and that's here I am. Yeah.
I know you just gave so much. I was like, "Oh, let me start writing this down so I don't forget to come back and address it." But
Yeah.
at that is the journey for coaching that I typically hear. I have looked into becoming a coach for the same reason. It starts from you having something in your life that you do automatically. Like it's funny that people think it's like you're lifting yourself up above, but no, you become a coach and you're good at it
Absolutely
because
not.
you've gone through the journey, and so that's what makes actually a great coach. So I'm like, yeah, I might be working with you in the future. But anyway, so a couple things that you said, I thought it was really cool that when you were saying that your journey started from you working from a body perspective and like saying, I'm gonna take this one thing, start working out, so I could feel stronger, but then realize that it was really the mindset. And that's what we always end up talking about when we're on Self Care Saturday, is that mindset is what drives everything. Because think about it, from a body perspective, I'm sure you realize that the reason why you were in that situation or why you were having those issues was because of something mentally that was going on, or your body, your mindset, like you said, self-sabotaging, low self-esteem, all of those things that we do and oftentimes don't realize it. So we'll get what seems easy to do, go to that workout class, go
Yeah.
get a gym membership, but really, or like getting surgeries for weight loss or anything like that. But if you don't change the mindset, you're never going to feel like you have accomplished what you set out to accomplish, because
Right.
that thing or that issue is still hanging in the background. So I really thought that was cool how you said it. And I want to say, for people who, like you said, are too close to their situation, how do you um what do you say that, how do you get them to see that they are at the point where they probably need an objective party, like need to go talk to a coach or need to have someone to help them because they're so stuck in it? Like, what are some things that you're thinking about in your life to kind of, okay, check, do I have these things, and like, yeah, let me go seek a coach or something? I don't know. Like, how do they get that down pat? Because if you're too close to it, sometimes you don't even realize that there's something wrong.
Well, normally when I talk to someone who wants coaching, they approach me, and I think it's I think at that point, everything for them just feels so big and out of their control
Yeah.
that they really come to me and just say, like, I don't know what the problem is. I just know that I feel stuck.
Yeah.
It's too big. My life just feels like it's too many different pieces and I can't get any of them to come together. Um, and so when you hear that alone, then you start asking questions about different areas of life. Our life has many different categories. You have career, you have your education, you have your relationships with people, and you have your sense of your own personal joy. You have spiritually, where are you? Career wise, where are you? And so you start asking a lot of questions. Health wise, where are you? And they'll kind of give you a broad overview, with those things when you just start asking, well, which parts of your life do you feel stuck? And sometimes you're like everywhere. So then you have to break that down and you start talking to them about different areas of their life. And when you're in a place with someone who is in a space where they just feel like I need help and everything just feels too big, they normally will open up to you. And it's a blessing that people trust you to
Mhm.
open up in that way. But they will start talking about different things in their life that just aren't going right. And you really just have to listen. It is, coaching is such a listening act, because they will reveal a lot about where their struggles are just by talking about their life. And sometimes you'll find the underlying consistency across the board with everything they're dealing with, because it's usually something, basically something rooted. There is a root to all of it. I can see that, but they can't see that. Or I can start to see where it begins. And so that's where we begin. We start there and we start digging a little deeper and digging a little deeper. And when you do that over time, and it doesn't take long, but over some time, you start to help people realize that everything that they feel stuck in their life is usually caused by one or two major things.
Mm.
It's a major need that you have. Um, and when you can identify that need and you know that that need needs to change, then at that point you start working with them on how to change that. But I think that, to answer your question, it's people just coming to you and just opening up about life, period. Um, and letting them just literally spill everything, which is, like I said, I think it's a blessing too, to let people be in a space where they feel comfortable enough to just let
Mhm.
it all out and say, this is what's going on. And then you start asking them questions and they honestly don't know the answers. Like, what do you think would help you feel better here? Or what would it look like if if this situation completely made a 180 and worked out in the way you wanted it to? Sometimes people don't even have those answers because they're just so bogged down in
Right.
what they're dealing with, they can't see it. And so I think that's when I know, and that's when people know I need a coach, because they don't have their own answers.
Right.
And so usually they walk in the door knowing, I've tried, I don't know these answers. And the truth be told, I don't know the answers either, but I can help them kind of dig, and ask questions, and search and self seek, until they find their answers. And I'm glad that you said coaching is one of those things where people think that I'm a life coach. I'm up here and I can tell you what to do with your life. That is absolutely not what a coach is. A coach will sit there and will sit with you and listen to what's not going right in your life, what you want to see change, what your goals are. And a coach will sit with you and say, okay, well, I definitely believe that you can accomplish those goals. And the truth and the reality is you
You
can.
can.
You can
Right.
accomplish anything you want. And so my job is to believe in you and remind you that you're capable of doing it, because you are. I'm not telling a lie. The truth of the matter is you are, but you don't think you are.
Hmm.
And so from that, you just start helping them realize that life is manageable. Even though there's a number of different areas that I need to work on, we can get to a space where you will adopt the skills to be able to manage your life and actually have a life that you're really happy with. And that's where the transformation happens. And when you change one thing, it normally affects many things. And how you do one thing is how you do pretty much everything. And once you
It's
start
true.
unlocking and realizing those things with people, then transformation and evolving starts.
Yeah, I think the topic that we have is changes about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Is so the very first part of that change or that journey is to realize that what I'm doing It's not working.
Yes.
So if you feel like you're, like she said, stuck was the word that she used quite frequently, everyone. So if you're feeling stuck, then that's probably a clue to you that, yeah, I'm stuck because I can't find the next step to take. And if that is a clue that you may need to pursue a coach, someone to help you be objective and help you kind of pull back the pieces and figure it all out. And that is why it's more about the journey, because you have to start. That's the first step. And that is realizing something needs to change. And then once you start, like she said, being open and feeling like you have a place to just be safe to go through everything, to be 100% transparent so someone else can say, all right, well, I mean, I know why you feel that way, but it's not like doom, gloom, can't change, I'm terrible, what have I done?
Absolutely.
Because that's usually what your body and your mind will start telling you. If you have this idea in your mind of how you should be, and you're not that, so then you're going to say, well, if I'm not that, then I'm terrible, I'm horrible, I'm failing, I'm all these
Yes.
things. And that's the self-sabotage cycle, because then that only begets more negative feelings and doubt, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. And then you just see yourself in this circle, and that's how I feel like you get stuck. So yes, I know me specifically, because I am someone who likes to inspire and motivate others. I'm often not as transparent with other people because I don't want to be burdensome.
Yes.
So then I'll sit here and I'm like, yeah, and I'm helpful and I love it. And I always love to be a part of that with people. But for me, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm incapable of the help, because I got all this, I got to clean up. So I
Yes.
be trying to hold back all the things that I'm working on. And I'm just saying, you know what, no matter where you are in your life, we all deserve the transparency. We all deserve to have someone to help us figure it out, or like help us think through it. Like, I know I'm not crazy, but I feel like I can't, what is the next step? And I can help everybody and their mom. And then for me, I'm like, girl, what is you doing? So it's like, don't ever feel like being in a place. That's called being a human being.
Yes.
So that's the beauty of being human. So let's talk more about the journey. So someone has realized that there is something going on, and they've decided that they're going to see a coach. Just, I don't want you to give it all away, because you do have a practice, and I want people to pursue that coaching.
Yeah.
But what is like one thing that you would tell them, someone starting their journey? What's one piece of advice or guidance that you would provide that we could share with the viewers?
Well, I think the biggest piece of advice is something that you've already touched on, and I think it is to acknowledge the bravery in admitting, like, I can't figure this out. I'm in a place where I do need help, because I think that society, somewhere along the way, has deemed it or made us feel like there's something wrong with us when we can't figure out our stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and the truth of the matter is, life is big, life is messy, life is hard, and I think everyone needs help. Anyone who says they don't is lying, and that is just the truth. That is just the truth.
Mm.
Everyone needs support at some point. So when we when we come to the place where we're open and we say, I do need support, that is just a major step. Um, and so there's beauty in doing that. I'm really proud of people that walk in the door. The very first thing I say is, I want to salute you for showing up to say, I need this help. Even that's the person that I meet with, even if we don't coach, that is our very first conversation. To acknowledge that you need the support is really, really big. And no one is so together that they don't need that. So I think that if this is all a part of just being human on a journey, coaches have coaches,
Mm-hmm.
trainers have trainers, mentors have mentors. And so we
Mm-hmm.
all need someone that can just kind of help guide us. And sometimes we get really stuck. And even when we're not stuck and we have decisions to make and places we want to go and goals to meet, we still look to people for guidance. And so no one is, there's nothing wrong with you for needing help. Um, and it's totally okay with helping someone, with you needing someone to help you kind of help get your life in order again. I think that's one major thing. The other major thing is that you can get yourself to a place where you're happy with yourself. You can make change, you can make transition. And again, yes, it's hard, but you're capable of those things. But when you show them that it's attainable through small things at a time, and you start showing them where we can start, they start seeing hope, period. You just show them that it is attainable for them to accomplish what they want to accomplish or just get unstuck. That's
Mhm.
the two main things I do. Thank you for showing up. Salute to you for showing up because I know that's a very big thing. And number two, what you want is completely attainable. Um, and so through small steps, you can do it this way. We can start the process this way, and it can be done. That alone, those two things, I think, helps anyone feel more at ease about just starting the journey. And I will tell you, I'll relate completely to not asking for help. Naturally, I'm a single mother, spent my most of my life as a single mother. So not asking for help is something I was conditioned to do. I just went and figured it out. I'm still
Mhm.
very much like that. To the people that know me well, they're like, I know you're not going to ask for help, but if you need anything, I still have to work on that. But knowing that there's nothing wrong with anyone needing help, and that you're still great and awesome and amazing, even if you need a little support.
That's profound. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that what you spoke on, saying like society and how you get an idea of what you should be, the shoulda, coulda, woulda, get you every time, and then you start to feel like you're a failure because you're basing yourself on that. When really, my belief is that we all are different. So then, how is there this one blueprint that everybody is going to be graded on to decide how good or
Yeah,
great of a human you are? I feel like that is the first thing that is incorrect. Size, color, what you like, what you don't like, how you live, if you're open, if you're free, if you're more conservative, all of that, you have choice. That's why they're defined, because that means that there's variety and you have the option to choose that. So I think the cool part about what you're talking about with someone working with you and meeting them where they are is allowing them to be how you find the happiness, is allowing yourself to be happy how you are and define that for yourself and then step into that space that is for you.
right.
And that could come from how you're raised, your culture. You get all these presets when you come into this world, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to like negate all of that stuff so that you can find, well, who am I? I don't really believe in that, but but I like this part of it, and I don't really believe in that, but I like that part of it. And as soon as you give yourself permission to like what you like and don't like what you don't like,
Yeah,
it gets it gets a lot easier, right? Right.
absolutely.
I would say that also when we talked about when we chatted, we talked about some of the things like that strong black woman, and while I feel like that was created in order to give us strength in some adversity, it then
Yes.
became a negative for exactly what we're speaking on, because then we're like, well, I don't feel strong right now, but then everybody's expecting me to be strong, so I'm just going to keep being strong, but then in the inside you're falling apart. So let's talk about that a little bit and talk about how that can be an impactful societal influences, or shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up because I mean, I feel like we all experienced that. And I love being called. I think it's nice to be called strong, but I also hate it at the same time
Right.
because I think that they put that. I almost think they gave us that stamp, and it's like, yep, you're strong. Go ahead, go out and handle the world. And it's almost like we don't get the opportunity to, not even almost, we don't get the opportunity a lot of the time to say, I don't feel strong right now. Um, and so that has just had such a negative. I think it's had a negative effect or a toxic effect just on us in general. But I will also say the reason why it's toxic is because we impose on ourselves this idea now that we have to always be strong, not show up, not cry, not do. And don't get me wrong, I do think that there were things over time that were said to us or that made us feel that way. But inevitably, as adults, we believe that we can't show weakness. We are a lot of the time our masculine energy is just like all over the place. Sometimes by default,
Yeah.
by circumstance, but because of that strong woman, it doesn't give us a space where we can feel tired or weak, when we don't feel strong. And many people just need the permission of saying it's okay to not feel strong today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another great thing about coaching. I think I'm realizing I'm giving a lot of people permission to feel feelings, because we've been taught we can't feel feelings.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you've heard people say this, but you'll talk to someone and they'll be like, girl, for the first time in years, I cried. And you're thinking about how strong a person is, or how strong they try to be for so long, that the act of crying, which is a really cleansing emotion,
Mm-hmm. I'm a
that
crybaby.
that when we finally do it, we feel like we've just been set free. But
Mm-hmm.
listen, I mean, but it's because like a dam has broken on the inside.
True story.
And truth be told, it's because we feel like we can't feel those feelings too often.
Mm-hmm.
And so the strong Black woman narrative is just a tough one to get to navigate. So at this point, yes, it is a compliment, and I try to tell people all the time, it is a great compliment. Yes, you are strong because you handle a lot of great things. You handle a lot of complicated things. You're doing a great job with feeling with figuring out a lot of tough stuff. So for that, yes, you got a little muscle for it. But at the end of the day, something else is going to come along and it's going to be hard. And know that when you need to lean, when you need to cry, when you need to say, I am not okay, know that you have the support, or just know that it is okay. You have permission to feel that. You don't need it from me, but if you need someone to tell you, then I'm telling you. But we've gotten to a space where we need permission to show our vulnerability, to show that we're even not strong, not feeling great, not feeling our best. And I think that in spaces where you find community, you find people that you can lean on, you finally get that space where you can kind of exhale and feel those feelings. But it has been a very tough one. Again, we all deal with it. I deal with it too. Um, and I know that it is well intended, but it also can have some negative effects. It's had some negative effects on us as women too.
Yeah, I would definitely say that I'm an emotional person, and I know growing up I learned to um rechannel it to the point where I used to be like, I love everybody, I'm gonna be everybody's friend, do do do, and people are mean. And so then I was
Yeah.
like, well then, then I turned it to this person as a rebuttal, and then I just like buttoned it up. So every time something happens to me, I realize that I will pull it in and internalize it first, because I'm saying, am I overreacting? Am I just being emotional? Because that's what I heard. I'm being emotional or I'm overreacting. And I'm like, some of these feelings are valid, but then it's like a week later, I'm like, now I look crazy if I go back and like, you remember that day? And they're like, well, I don't even remember, because I've done this to myself.
Yes.
And I had to understand that me being a crybaby, me being emotional, is the part that I love about myself, because it makes me feel I can, I can show empathy towards other people. I care about how I come across to other people. And my strength are in my tears. Like that is where I know, like, okay, I'm crying, but as soon as I finish, I feel like I could take on the world because I'm ready. Like I have cleansed myself,
Yeah.
like you said, of the emotion. But yeah, it was taken from me. And it's like I'm supposed to be like, button it up and stop being so emotional. No, it's not about not being emotional. It's about healthy emotions, and
Yes.
displaying your emotions in a healthy way. So yeah, you can be angry, but you don't have to go tear up stuff or cussing people out all the time. There's a way to
Yes.
be angry and let your feelings of anger be shown that are not destructive. Just like being sad, there's a way for you to display those feelings and not be destructive to
Absolutely.
everybody, or like just self-deprecating. There is a way. So when you say permission to have feelings, that is for you. It's for you to be okay. I'm not like you, so you may show your
Right.
feelings different, but I am me. And if you want to be in my space, allow me to be me and express
Yes.
my feelings, as long as I'm being respectful of everybody who's impacted. And that is that's a big part of like that self-realization that you're talking about, and that self-awareness. I do want to just talk about, I saw somebody make a comment. Erica Washington said, allowing to feel feeling and acknowledge the feeling. And the truth has been so challenging and a new behavior to relearn, but yet so liberating, which is what I was just describing. I was like, that's exactly me. Like being okay with the fact that that is what I'm feeling, and being okay to express that and not feel like you'll be judged or people will look at you differently. And even if they do, so what? This is my truth. and I'm living in it.
Yes, I completely agree. And just thinking about that, the entire adult process to me
Oh,
is the act of unlearning
yeah.
everything you were taught as
Mm-hmm.
children, even though that was supposed to be the way.
Mm-hmm.
And what you said was hit so close to home as far as feeling our feelings. And I think it starts with childhood when you express an emotion and you're not allowed to express many other emotions other than happiness. If you're
Mm-hmm.
upset with something, you better fix your face.
Yeah.
What are you crying for? You better stop crying. What are you mad for? You shouldn't be mad about that. You better not. And they teach you, they we're taught to keep all our feelings in a box. Don't show it on your face. You can sit there, you can be at home. I mean, I remember as a child, and all due respect to my parents, but it's even like, you better not cry. You better not cry. I'll give you something to cry about if you're really upset about something. And so that those little subtle ways teach us we're not allowed to feel our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn to just kind of zip them up. You stuff them in and you zip them up. And then adulthood comes and life is like really, really too hard and it's too much for you to try to manage. And those feelings just can't stay locked in there anymore. And there's so much shame and embarrassment and humiliation initially about the fact that I have all these feelings and I
Yep.
feel wrong for having them. And the
Mm-hmm.
truth of the matter is, you're a human being, and we're made up of emotions.
Exactly.
They're healthy. What's healthy is when we don't express them, but we
Mm-hmm.
were taught the opposite. And so now you get to a place where men are having to be taught to
Oh,
feel.
yes.
That is not something that is natural for them. And so we have to give them permission to step into that
Mm-hmm.
space, and they have to battle with their masculinity and what that looks like when we're opening, like they're trying to find their way. Women have been taught, be tough, be strong, carry the brunt, sacrifice. I tell people all the time that I feel like women were raised to show love through sacrifice. Show love through sacrifice. Sacrifice,
True
sacrifice.
story.
And I think boys were taught, win the fight. Just
Yep.
don't come home and having lost the fight. You win the fight. Be a man. Don't cry. Don't lose a fight. So that's what they're carrying. And women are carrying, when you love someone, you take on, you take on, you take on, you put last. So when you have emotions that you're dealing with, and we've just been taught by society who we're supposed to be and what we can't feel and what we can't have and what we can't do, now we're having to face all of this stuff as adults. And we're like, I don't even know
How I do?
how to feel
How?
things.
Yeah.
So it's good to be in a space when we finally get to a space where you have given yourself permission, and or you've been through permission being given to you, or you just take it for yourself to say, you know what, I'm gonna feel these things. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me sit here and be angry. Doesn't mean I have to go punch someone in the face, but let me acknowledge my anger so I can free it from my body. Because
Yep.
the matter is, when we keep things in our body, then it will manifest in another way. Body aches and pains, all those things, everything is connected, and the body keeps score. The body does keep score. It's your GPS of everything that you're feeling. So what you don't feel, allow yourself to feel, you're going to feel somewhere in this body. So the act
Mm,
of allowing yourself to feel your emotions is a great breakthrough. And again, it's brave and it's courageous, and it's something we all deserve. We're all
we do.
entitled to that,
Hmm.
but we have to be reminded of that, because at some point we were taught that we weren't entitled to it.
And that's crazy. And the part that you just said about like if you do not address your feelings about things and they manifest in other ways, and also you are relinquishing your control in those situations when you don't address things, you let them do whatever, wreak havoc in your life
Yes.
any kind of way they show up. So what you're talking about in relationships, if you think about people coming together with those two conflicting viewpoints on relationships and dealing with each other, how is that going to be successful? Nobody's acknowledging it. It's showing up anyway. It's showing up anyway. And then not that, so it's not just personally like you dealing with things in your body, but they're wreaking havoc. You don't even realize that you're leaving this collateral damage because you're not addressing things with yourself. To your point with children and not addressing how you were raised, or being like, it's not disrespectful. It's saying, I had someone on here talking about mother wounds, and like part of healing from that is to acknowledge that your mother and your parents were just humans. So they were just doing the best that they could with what they had. Okay. So now you do the best with what you got. So if you realize that that probably contributed to something that I'm
Right.
carrying, let me fix it instead of just saying, well, that's how I was
Yeah.
raised or that's what we always done. Like, let's not do that because the whole point is we got to keep, like you said, unlearn adulting is breaking all those things and then fixing them back, like acknowledging, oh, that's kind of messed up. Let me work on that. But you have to first, it's that self awareness, it's that realization. And that is the part that a lot of people do not want to do because it's
Right.
easy to sit here closed up and guarded because
Yes.
it's, oh, when people start pulling out this thing, well, you see, this is like dirty laundry and there's some dust over there and you got some molded bread or,
Yes.
that doesn't feel good to lay all of that bare. But boy, oh boy, have you ever cleaned up after you let things get junky or, you
Yes.
clean out your car and you look at it, you like, that ain't
Yes.
nice. I like it. That's the same thing you will feel, but the journey is tough. You sweating. You
It
like,
is.
dang, I can't believe I let it get like this. So what? But the journey, remember? It's about the journey. And yes, it's going to be nice when you get there, but the journey is what we're saying. All those things that you're learning about yourself, all those things that you're fixing along the way, all of that stuff is what is leveling you up. And those are the things that will carry you into, like Jakkia said earlier, the other facets of your life. Yeah, I'm working on cleaning this one place, but all of the things that I'm learning on the journey for cleaning this one space is going to help me everywhere else.
Well, yeah.
Everywhere else. I'm just like, oh, so excited. I could be here all day. Because it just starts
Absolutely.
there.
It is. It is the act of just learning through all this. It is messy, but like you said, it's so the key to why people feel why change is so hard is because people just will gravitate to what's easiest and what's comfortable. And the truth of the matter is, our brain is wired to routine.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that you take the mind out of that is not routine, when change happens, your mind is very black and white. It's life and death. What you've been doing habitually is keeping me alive. So I feel like that's a good thing. You're changing up something that's happening that's out of my norm. The first thing that goes, what's going on, is your brain. Your brain is starting to panic, which is why people don't do well a lot of times with change, or change just feels so uncomfortable. We just jump back to the side of, let's stick with what I know, because the unknown is just really really stressful.
It
And
is.
it's life is hard enough. It's just easy to stay the same. At least I know what to expect. This is a, what do you say, like a familiar evil. It's an evil that I'm familiar with.
Yep.
I know how to navigate it, so let's go ahead and just do that. Change is super uncomfortable, but once you sit in your discomfort for a minute, it's not forever. It's temporary. And once you start just kind of peeling those layers away, and you start getting uncomfortable, and every day you realize, every day that you show up to deal with that discomfort every day, the discomfort is not so uncomfortable. As
Mm-mm.
time progresses and things get easier, and you start looking back and you're saying, you know what, I don't feel the way I did about this a week ago. I feel different than I did 2 weeks ago. Now I'm starting to see that if I do this and I do this, I'll get a different outcome. I like that. Let me do this and this. And they realize, well, you know what, if I do this and this here, I can probably do this and this over here too.
Yep.
And you start doing it because it's effective, and then you start doing it everywhere, and then other things start lining up as well. And it all starts with us. It starts with how we think, because how we think determines what we do, and what we do on a regular basis determines what becomes our habits, and what our habits are becomes our overall behavior. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to address the things that are uncomfortable. And I think that's naturally what our biggest struggle as human beings is just sitting in discomfort.
It
I
is.
think that we think it won't ever go away, and the truth of the matter is, it will go away if you address the hard stuff. Sometimes we're afraid because there's too much hard stuff that we fought for years to put behind us, and now you want me to bring it all back.
Yeah.
But the reason why it hasn't left you is because you haven't felt what you needed to feel about it.
Mm.
If we can bring it up so you can feel what you feel about it, whether it is just a cry about it, whether it's an acknowledgement of something, and then you're able to walk away from it and leave it, then the discomfort, it subsides. But if you don't deal with it, you're always going to be uncomfortable. So you're uncomfortable
Mm.
anyway. That's the thing. You're already uncomfortable and unhappy anyway.
Reality check. Anyway,
So it's
we
like,
uncomfortable for a reason.
Yes, for a reason. And so let's talk about the reason. And once you talk about the reason, then maybe you can start moving away from the discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is that as we talk through different things, I make these connections in my life to help me understand, that also help just kind of validate for me that you show up in spaces you're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
I had a job for a while where I worked in higher education, and I was a part of a team that had to talk to people when their kids didn't get into college. And so you would deal with denial season. And you had
Yep.
parent after parent after parent after parent calling you, talking about, do you know how awesome my kid is? And you didn't accept my kid, and blah, 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 blah. And they would go through these phases. And we were taught to listen, and we were taught to give them a script. And we had to say the same thing over and over again. But what you found even then is that when you give people a space to air out their grievances,
They come. Yeah.
that's really all they wanted.
Yep.
And they can move on from it after that if you just give them the space to let it out. And they would go off, and we would listen. We wouldn't, we weren't defensive in any way. We just had to let them have that time. And then they were actually able to release it and let it go and say, okay, well, what are my next steps if you get
Yep.
it in?
Hmm.
And so I feel like if you just give people a space, if people will allow themselves to take that space as well. But if you take the space and allow yourself to just air that out and just have the emotion. And I'll tell you, I started with fitness. That's where I got a lot of my emotion out. That's where I started. But I also had to go to a space where I had to vocalize. I had
Yep.
to express, because that's another way of stuffing. It was just a different way of doing it. But you do, when you give someone a space to just open up and air it out and just let it out, the movement starts already in itself right there.
Yeah, I think that's so profound. I do want to talk about Denise Banks left a comment. She said, from what we were talking about a little earlier, that yes, we as women make space for so many people that we have little room for self care. We have to fill up our own cup and then give from the overflow, but instead we give, give, give until we are depleted because we don't make ourselves priorities in it. And I know self care is all about that, and that's why I started Self Care Saturday. Actually, it wasn't even about um like the massages and all that, like the trendy self care. It was meeting people where they are in their respective journeys for self care. And that looks different for all of us. So that's why I pull different topics from everywhere, because like you really are not caring about relationships if you can't pay your bills, if you keep struggling, if you feel unfulfilled at work, or if you're struggling with children stuff or your health things. Like we talk about everything because self care shows up different. And that's it. Giving yourself grace.
Yes,
That's big. Giving you yourself grace to get help that you need, to talk about where you're not strong. All of those things that we're talking about today is just, like I said, the first step to change. And that's why I just like how you're being very transparent about your journey, but also about like giving people guidance to understand like it's okay to get help. It's okay. Like you are not sitting over here with a situation or a feeling that is separate from the rest of people in the world. We all are going through something. It may look a little different, but we all are just trying to find that space that is for us. So just it's okay.
it
Take
is
the
okay.
steps. Take the first steps. I know in my personal life, I changed careers recently. I have been an accountant for so long. Really knew that I really wasn't meant to be that, but it was comfortable because I knew that people always need accountants, so I always can make good money, do whatever I needed to do. And I was like, but I'm tired. I want my life to be what I want it to be in every facet instead of just in one space. And so I changed careers as of October last year, became an instructor. I love the interaction with people because it goes along with who I am. But it was tough because I have been in account, like say, for 20 years, and now I'm changing. And it seems like every day is like something new. And I was like, well, maybe this was a bad decision. Maybe I need to go back. So exactly what you were saying in another area of my life, I was like, oh, my brain is telling me to go back to what's comfortable, but that's not where I want to be. That's not the space that's meant for me. I am just feeling that way because it is uncomfortable. But if I can just sit here and then make a plan, like you said, after I get over my feelings, after I cry about being frustrated or feeling inept or whatever, what am I going to do now? What things do I need to incorporate to help me do better? And that is it in every area of your life, your career, your relationships, your health. It's just about giving yourself an opportunity to feel, like Erica said earlier, allowing yourself to feel and acknowledge those feelings about what's going on, and then say, okay, now what? Okay, let me get myself back together and figure out what I want, because life is not over. So I need to figure out, keep making different steps. And if that didn't work, okay, stop doing that, Maria. Do something different. So let's try this. Okay, let's try this. But I have to first stop and allow myself the grace to say that I made a mistake. Figure that out. Okay, so now what do I need to be successful, until I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I got this part. And then you pick up another bite, then I'm gonna try to work on this piece, and I'm gonna keep trying. Well, that didn't work, and then
Yeah.
it's just a matter of giving it, knowing that it's a cycle, it's a continuous flow, which is why change is about the journey, because it's
Yes.
all these steps keeps coming back to that, and I just love that. So like I said, I'll be reaching out, because I definitely need to start giving myself some space to do that, and I want to be more transparent on here about the things that I'm going through, because I think that's what makes this platform great, is that it's just we're all regular people just doing some phenomenal things in our own individual lives, but we're all just regular people at the end of the day trying to trying to figure it
Trying
out. We
to
just try.
figure it out. I mean, every single one of us, we are, as human beings, we're trying to figure their stuff out. I coach people, but Lord knows I'm trying to figure my stuff out every day. And can I first tell you, congratulations on taking the leap to change a career.
Thank you.
I think that it's awesome when we get to a space in life when we're less willing to do what we feel like we're supposed to do, and we do the things that our heart says do. When we lead by passion, it's a totally different kind of life. And so congratulations for taking that leap. It's a very brave and bold leap. But you're showing up for yourself.
Yes.
And like you said, it's almost like when it's time to take control of your life, or try to get some control in different areas of your life, try to regain something that you feel like you've lost, or just get back to a space where you want to find some happiness, some joy, some personal fulfillment and satisfaction. The steps that you go through for that are oftentimes uncomfortable, but the act of doing that sometimes even feels like an act of rebellion
Yeah.
against what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another reason that keeps people stuck, because if I start changing things up, it's going to affect other people. How will other people see me? How is that going to affect my immediate environment? If I do all these changes, everything just feels so uncomfortable. And it does feel like feeling feelings, changing careers, doing the things that organically feel like what we're supposed to be, that feel more organic to us, stepping into our authentic self. A lot of times that feels like rebellion. And a lot of times there will be people who will resist your changes.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be willing to sit through your discomfort. It is hard figuring stuff out. But guess what? It's hard figuring stuff out no matter what, whether you're living
Yeah.
a life you don't want to live or now. It's still
Yeah.
hard. And so, why not choose the hard that leads you to personal happiness rather than the hard that just keeps you spinning your wheels doing something that you're never gonna find joy in, or you're gonna live looking at a reflection you're not happy with, or just can't love when you look at it, because you're struggling with who that person is. There's too many masks. There's too much going on. So it's tough stuff
It
to
is,
work through this stuff. It is tough, and it's messy, and it's sticky, and
but it's
it's
worth it.
it's not fun, but it's worth it to get to the place that you say, you know what, imperfect and all, I'm happy with me. When I get up and I walk out the door and I go and I do the work that I do, I feel like it's what I'm supposed to be doing. It does something for my spirit. I would do it if it's free. Um, I know that I'm impacting other people, or just naturally through what you do, you realize you're impacting people, and that feels good to you.
Mm-hmm.
That is worth all the discomfort. That is worth every hard day when you question yourself, because again, you're going to do that anyway. But you question yourself and you keep showing up and you keep being consistent. And all those questions you have about can I, am I capable of, will I, you'll be able to answer them down the line when you keep working towards what you want. And the answer is yes to all of
Mm-hmm.
them. Will you do it? Yes, you will if you keep
Yeah.
showing up. Can you do it? Absolutely, if you keep showing up. Should I do it? Absolutely, keep showing up, because it's in you for a reason. And when it's in you for a reason, you push till you figure out your why.
And that, my folks, and that's like I was gonna be. I always say like, hey, you have some last words for the viewers. That was all it summed up just then. I was like, oh, it just naturally got here, and I loved it. So you heard her. Just it has the first step is gonna be you just acknowledging that you want change, and from there, you I put the information right here for you to
Thank you
reach
so much.
for
Yes.
you to reach Jakkia and the other coaches that she works with in order for you to be able to start that change. Remember, because the change is about the journey and there are going to be some ups and downs, but you're already uncomfortable. You're already not where you want to be in life. You're already questioning things. Why not go through the process of feeling those feelings, but know that you're making progress towards the destination that you are wanting to arrive at? Okay? All
And your
right.
journey is just fine. Whatever that journey is, it's
Whatever it is.
just fine. Maybe you think it's not, but it is. Your journey is just fine, and it's going to end at a beautiful destination. But every step you take on this journey is just fine. For you, it is just fine.
All right. I don't know if we could say anything else. I know we starting to run out of time, so I just want to say thank you so very, very, very much for showing up this morning. Like I said, I know you were doing your own, taking some time for yourself, but the fact that you showed up for all of us and gave us a space to, get some good motivation for change in our lives is, that's part of who you are, and we just thank you for giving us that time. For all you people, like I said, I put her information down here. Just take it one step at a time. Change is just the first step to change is just you acknowledging that you want to change something in your life, and do yourself a favor. Give yourself the opportunity for coaching or have someone help you make way of what your next steps can be, because it's all in you. The reason why you're feeling uncomfortable because the universe is trying to tell you it's time.
Time
It's
to move.
time. It's
It's time
time.
to
It's
move.
time.
And it's going to keep pushing you until you do. So until you answer that question and answer that call, it's going to continue to push.
So
But it's
answer.
keep
Pick
going.
up.
Yeah.
Pick up. All right, guys. So thanks again for joining me and Jakkia this morning as we talked about change. I hope you were motivated in some way, shape, or form. I also hope that you will join me. The next time we'll come back will be the 22nd of May. I'm also going to be talking to Jakkia, see if we can partner on some other things because I just love her message and what she stands for. So again, guys, I hope you enjoy your Saturday. And until next time, be kind to yourself and definitely be kind for
Yes.
others.
Yes. See you later.
Bye. Happy Saturday.